And RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day, as always. Of course, that was Fleetwood Mac, Don't Stop, and I think it's very appropriate for this particular show. And we're going out with an interesting song. I think I got it written down over here. This one's called Work It Out, and it's actually a mix of Beyonce, Dave Matthews, Jurassic 5, and D-Light. It's a pretty cool song. I found it accidentally, and it basically inspired this show, to be honest with you. So we're going to be covering that. Wanted to do a quick update in dealing with the show that's going to be coming out with Agnes Vivarelli. We did an awesome recording, so I finally got my hands on it over the weekend. About an hour and a half of stuff. So I managed to chop it up into about 6 different shows, so I'll probably be releasing that throughout this week, maybe mid to late this week. I will start releasing those. I think we're probably going to do, a show a day, maybe a show every other day, something along those lines. It's all very good stuff along the lines of Goddard, imagination, and giving some great specifics between things that her and I have both tried and things that we've read and studied and learned. And it's just a really, really good mix. So hopefully everybody looks forward to that. It should be really, really an awesome show. And Agnes is just amazing. So I had a wonderful time with her. We're calling this show Self-Mastery, and it really has to do with kind of taking a step back from the logic of imagining. So many of you might be already on board with this whole imagining thing and what that actually means, right? And we spend some time imagining and maybe use the law of attraction approach to kind of get us through the day-to-day while, we do our imagining in the morning and whatever. And realizing that this imagining, this creation of this thought, this creating this image within our minds is really the creative mechanism that produces our reality. So I'm going to kind of cover that as quickly as I can, but the thing that's really weird, and I want to share this first, is I had a crazy dream in the middle of the night where this quote popped into my head, literally woke me up, and I had to actually record it. I couldn't go back to bed until I recorded it. And there's like 2 ways for me to take this quote, and I think it's kind of funny, but nothing happens for good, only for better. That was the quote. Nothing happens for good, only for better. Now, there's 2 ways I read the nothing happens for good. For good meaning that's it. That's the final, that's the final story. That's for good, like the end, right? So I think it means that. I think there's a double side to this. So I think it means nothing is done once you imagine it right now. That doesn't mean it's done. There's still going to be expansion down the road, and so thusly you're always going to continue to create. But the other side of it was nothing happens for good, only for better, which implies to me also that where our definition of good is right now is going to change throughout life and improve and become better. Our concept of good will grow and expand, and that very nature, I think, is kind of the key to this whole self-mastery concept as well, meaning we're constantly expanding, constantly growing, and what we consider to be great and what we wish to manifest right now is going to change and expand. So what's awesome right now, the perfect wife, the perfect car, the perfect house, the perfect whatever, in a month or two after spending some time imagining this, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 10 years, we're going to enhance that belief. We're going to enhance that view. It's going to become even better. So what's perfectly good right now is truly going to improve as we get more and more information on how to streamline and how to improve upon that, if you will. So one of the things that I think is really important in this whole thoughts create outward appearances or manifestations, right, is thoughts and imaging or imagining are the causation of what we affect. So to prove this to ourselves, and it's very important, I think, to make this step. And so, I've covered some of these things before, but I'm really going over it just from a different angle. So go follow with me, if you will. So to prove this to ourselves, we usually start on something small. Maybe it's someone that buys you a cup of coffee in the coffee shop. Maybe it's finding $5 on the road. Maybe it's that perfect parking place. Maybe it's making green lights. Maybe it's bumping into somebody or getting a text message from somebody that you haven't heard from in a while that you would like to hear from. Any number of these things I think are great first small steps. Very good. Do one. If you're like, oh, that's it. That I suddenly know that's how it works. Cool. After that first try, right? Or maybe it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 tries before you finally say, okay, I'm pretty sure this is how this works. At some point, you're going to draw that conclusion, and you're going to be able to understand that I am affecting my own reality, and I do that by what I think, what I say, and what I do. And thinking would be more in the imaginal sense, and what we say and do is really more in the sense of kind of maintaining our energies throughout the day. At least this is kind of where I'm understanding it from at this point. Again, not just good, but better down the road, because I'm sure this is going to continue to expand as I read more and more about Goddard and really try to add that to the law of attraction concepts that I've already studied. I think I'm really going to kind of keep honing in this concept. And currently I'm working on manifesting three different things. And I'm doing it daily. And I'm going to keep doing it until it happens, because I know it's going to happen. So to go back full circle, we start small to gain the proof. Once we've got the proof in our minds, then now you've got the power to move to the bigger and better things. Now, what I really want to bring up, which I think is super important with this whole self-mastery thing, is go with me for a second, but if our thoughts have power, if what we think, say, and do actually is what manifests our realities, then almost it would make you kind of start to realize that if we create our own personal experiences, our own personal lives, then we actually affect the lives of our family by what we create, right? Wouldn't that make sense? So if what I create affects me directly, maybe I'm trying to manifest things for my family, for example, or trying to manifest better concepts, maybe a vacation trip, right? Maybe some certain school for one of your children, maybe another car for one of your children that's turning old enough, maybe something for your wife, maybe even help her with a job that she's trying to get. Whatever the case is, we start to actually have responsibility towards our families with our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. Okay, let's expand it a hair further. What about your neighborhood? Don't you probably have some effect on your neighborhood, on the safety of your neighborhood? So when you're thinking safe, good thoughts about your neighborhood, you're actually bringing more of that energy towards your neighborhood. How about your city? How about your state? How about your country? All right? All these things, we can actually have an effect on our country. Now, granted, from your own personal life, you have a huge impact. Like, it's a direct causation. From the country, definitely, we're one of many, many, many people. But as I've talked about on other shows, as we raise our vibrations and increase our energy, our voice actually becomes significantly stronger in the big picture. What what level of multiplier compared to someone who's not awake? It just depends on where you're at in that whole scope. But ultimately, it can be 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, even more, if for people that truly have their chakras aligned, truly have their thoughts in order, their thoughts in place, and really are living consciously, understanding that their thoughts and words and deeds have power. So again, what we do for our country is wonderful, but then also the planet. For many of you out there that are concerned about the planet, keep your thoughts positive. Keep them towards the solutions that you would like to see. If that's bringing more awareness to recycling programs or ways to make more non-renewable resources. Hemp's a great example, right? You can make paper and all this stuff for the same acre of land way faster than you can with trees or any number of other resources that grow. And I'm not trying to be pro-pot or anything, but hemp, which is a potless version of pot, right? It's like there's no buds, there's nothing you can get high from, but it is essentially that weed aspect that grows very, very quickly with minimal amounts of water, and it's just a great renewable resource. You probably make fuel out of it too, frankly. But these are examples of different ways that we can actually make a difference in the world around us. And I kind of wanted to talk about it because really the mastery of our thoughts is creating this causation and these wonderful manifestations in our own life. And once we've got that all dialed in, then it's like, okay, now that I realize this is how it works, maybe I should use this to help improve my family, my neighborhood, my city, my state, my country, whatever. We all are conscious co-creators on this planet. And if we can work together, we can actually make a difference together. So a lot of it is just trying to get us all on the same page. And really, if the news ever wanted to do anything cool, if they put out a message that said, all right, everybody at this time, Greenwich Mean Time, I want you to think peace and prosperity and all this for the world, it would be amazing what we could accomplish if we could just get a percentage of the people to actually think in line with each other. But much the same way with you trying to prove this to yourself. When we get ourselves thinking in line with our own desires and goals and manifestation dreams, it's amazing what we can accomplish. So please try to keep these things in mind as we become more conscious co-creators. And on top of that, as we start living intentionally within our own universe, remember the difference you can make in everyone's life. It's a big part of how this all plays out. And all this is a little different than my standard shows I've been doing lately. This is very Dan radio style, and this is certainly in line with some of the topics that I hope to bring up on a somewhat regular basis. So, again, trying to share this with you at spiritradiodanstyle@gmail.com if you'd like to get in touch with me, or just feel free to leave comments in the notes underneath, right, the video. And certainly ask questions and all those kinds of things, and I'll be more than happy to address those in future shows. But certainly want to try to get more interaction with everybody as well and kind of make this our show, right? This is our community, and we're going to expand this and grow this together and start to make a difference, not just in our own lives, but also in the lives of those around us in the world as well. So thank you for joining me. We're going to be going out with that, what is the name of that song? Work It Out. And it's that compilation of all sorts of people, but a very cool song nonetheless. So stay tuned. We'll be doing more shows. And that Agnes Vivarelli stuff will be coming out probably mid to late this week. So I look forward to getting that going as well. So thanks so much for joining me.
Stop your dreaming, let yourself float upon the ocean.
We gotta work it out. We gotta work it out. Well, we gotta work it out.
Lose yourself inside. We gon' make it right. Now make it right.
Now if you know what I know, you need to work it out. If you ain't happy with yourself, you need to work it out. You're having problems with your family, then work it out. The things we go through just to work it out.